It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind. Columbia, this is Houston, AOS, over. Setting up the flag now. Now, you can see the stars and stripes on the
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Knicks Wall podcast. We are back. We're here with, it's been a relatively eventful week for the Knicks, despite us getting smacked by the Bucks just the other day. I am Anthony Corbo. You can follow me on Twitter at Corbo Anthony. I am here, as always, joined by my co-host, Mike Cortez at Cortez Era on Twitter. What's going on, my dude?
What is up? What is up?
And Kyle Maggio, the only at Kyle Maggio on Twitter. He's here with us. How are you today?
I'm good, man. I'm good. What's going on, fellas?
Things are good. I should say we're part of the Blue Wire podcast family as well. Go check out all of the dope shit they got going on over at BlueWirePods.com, at Blue Wire Pods. Over all the shows on the network. They're all great. Go check them out. While you're at that, head to thenixwall.com. A lot of good pieces coming out this week, including one that was just released that we're going to get into a little bit more in the show on what RJ Barrett's been doing these last couple of games from Hurley Geffner. But, give us a follow at the Knicks Wall, at TKW Podcast, all that good stuff. But before we get into too much today, wanted to give a quick shout out and a platform here to our own Kyle Maggio for doing some pretty dope shit during the day. So what are you up to right now, Kyle?
So as most of you guys who listen to this pod, I think you guys follow me on Twitter by now. So you've probably seen I'm at Whistle Sports now. We just kicked off a new gambling podcast for those of you who are degenerates who want to get into it like us and spend a little money and quite often lose. Then we got the podcast for you. So basically the thing that we're trying to do different with it is nobody wants to listen to a half an hour long podcast about gambling picks for this upcoming weekend. So it's 5-minute podcasts. That's it. So we're going to do an NFC episode for championship weekend, 5 minutes, an AFC episode, 5 minutes, pretty much just, you go to take a piss, you go to the bathroom, you can listen to this podcast. That's the purpose. It's for the everyman, the journeyman. So please, if you want it. Yeah. You never know, man. You never know. It's called 300 Seconds, by Whistle Sports. So please, we're iTunes, Spotify, just find us.
I believe if you're going to search that as well, the S is a $sign, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah.
Correct. It is a $sign. So that's it. Just a short little podcast. Get your picks. So if you want to keep up with that, we'd appreciate any nice little reviews. We got a couple episodes up now. You can listen to it to get a little taste of it. I posted a snippet from Whistle before, but that's it. We got a couple more things in store. I'll be in touch with you guys about. Haven't finalized anything, but there's some more stuff coming I'm excited about, and that's about it, man.
Well, shouts to you. While you're subscribing over to the 300 Seconds podcast, which you should already be on your way to doing, make sure, if you're not already, you're subscribed to the Knicks Wall podcast on everywhere that Kyle was mentioning for his podcast, as well as, make sure you subscribe on YouTube, all that stuff. Mike, what do you have going on right now? Anything you'd like to plug?
I am working on a Kenny Wooten piece, which we'll get into in a little bit. But more importantly, I just wanted to bump our relief efforts donation for Puerto Rico. 100% of our merch is being donated. And I also put a GoFundMe link out earlier today. So if you can't afford merch, not feeling anything, which would be crazy, but if you're not and you just want to donate a little something, I added a GoFundMe link there. Please, anything helps. They just got hit again with a 5.2 earthquake. So literally, even if it's $1, it helps. And yeah, that's about it for now. Just be on the lookout for more features.
Absolutely. I will have all the links to the donation link for the GoFundMe will be on the show description. The Link to go get merch is designtree.com/the Knicks Wall, DSGNTREE.com/the Knicks Wall. Everything's up there right now. Everything has been reissued for this occasion. So go check all that out. I guess it's about time we get on into the show here. So I think the proper place to start off is after a pretty significant couple of performances. And I know, Kyle, you got those numbers on hand, so I'm going to let you drop that. But RJ Barrett is now a headband crusader, and he's just kind of going, for lack of a better term, ape shit right now. And he's starting to prove some of his doubters wrong over the last couple of games. But Kyle, I'm going to leave the floor to you right now because I feel like you're very excited about this. Drop me some stats, drop me some hype. What's going on with RJ right now?
So RJ Barrett has been really strong over the last 6 games. Only 2 of those were headband games, but just pretty much dating back to that Los Angeles Clippers game, he's kind of been on fire. And I know like the assists are down a little bit, but I'm going to read the full stats. Really, there's 2 things that are going to jump out that I and most people should be encouraged by. So in these last 6 games, 33 minutes per game, 19 points, about 6 rebounds per game, 1.3 assists, 1.2 steals. Now, the thing that sticks out is the percentages, because on 13 shot attempts a game, he's averaging 46.3%, which on the season, he's a little bit below 40. And over, I think there was a stretch of like 10 or 15 games where he was really, really struggling, like sub 35%. So the big 2 here, though, 42.1% from 3 on 3 attempts a game. Not groundbreaking, but very good, especially when that's a big concern.
A noted improvement.
Outside shooting. Yeah, and now he's about to climb over 33% on the season from 3, which he shot 30% last year at Duke. So
right, and he's at 39 field goal, and he's about to, like you said, climb over the 33% on 3-pointers, but he's getting close to at least having above 40% shooting field from the floor, and at least above 33 from 3. So we're seeing some signs of improvement on the stat line as well.
Exactly, and it's not great, it's not groundbreaking, but it's a start. And for how bad the efficiency was getting, it's good to see him drastically turning it around, even at the free throw line, which this is really encouraging, because I know a lot of people pay more attention to free throw progress as an indicator of jump shooting progress in the long term. And this is with almost 7 trips per game, which is ridiculous, but that goes to show you how good he is at using his body, using his strength in the paint, to get to the line. 78%. Like, that's good. That's good, man. Like, I understand they haven't been playing great basketball lately as a team, but that's really good when this is your 3rd overall pick that you're hoping has star upside and star potential. Like, that's what you want to see, man.
I mean, we needed him to get up to around that percentage from the line. Like, that's been the scariest part about his game all season. Everything else I can buy, the 3-pointer I can buy into him developing over time. Anytime his finishing has waned, which has been kind of rare, like, his efficiency, I can buy into all that improving, but I really need that free throw percentage to come along if I'm going to really believe it. So that's what's really most encouraging to me right now.
Yeah, he just looks good. He looks really confident right now. He's attacking a lot. The jumper's working. I mean, yesterday in Milwaukee, he couldn't buy a layup, but 5 of 7 from 3. Like, these are good things that are happening. These are things that I will take. I will take him struggling at the rim over him not being able to hit from outside any day of the week, because he's smart and he's strong and he knows what he's doing in the paint and knows how to get to his spots. Like, he'll figure it out. I'm cool. Like, I know everybody likes to get at me for being pessimistic on this podcast, but RJ's like the one dude that I'm really not all that worried about and haven't been. Even when he was struggling, you can squint and kind of see a good player. I'm not doing a victory lap right now, but it's just, it really does feel good when a top prospect like that we so happen to finally get ends up starting to look the part consistently, especially in stringing together a little stretch like this, not just every other game or, 2 good games, then he stinks for 3. Like, it's nice to see it every night, back to back to back to back to back for a little bit. Like, it's been exciting. I mean, they've been getting their asses kicked a little bit as a team, but for me, it's okay. If RJ's going to play like this and continue to improve, how could you not get excited about that? You know what I mean?
I mean, if you don't want to take your victory lap, I already got the shoes out again. I'm ready to go. He's turned the corner. I don't know if the headband's the reason, but for now, keep that shit on because he just looks like a different man. And the most important part is he's doing it with pretty shitty spacing. Elfrid Payton is not a good shooter, and he's starting to shoot a lot more, which is starting to piss me off. Randle, we know, isn't that great of a shooter. Same for Gibson, and then Bullock's kind of helped a little bit. But for the most part,
I thought Bullock's been really helpful, honestly, with getting RJ back in stride. Like, he's just kind of like, I just think that he's been such a, valuable defensive presence that just like kind of gives you, like just kind of fills that spot on the floor. So you at least have one guy out there who's going to be, able to be participating and keeping everybody else in line. I think we were getting that from Taj at the beginning of the season, but Reggie's really been holding on to that so far.
Yeah, and I'm excited to see. I don't think Morris and Bullock have played together yet. I could be mistaken, but if Miller ever runs that lineup with Morris at the 4 and then Bullock at the 3, that's opening up a lot more for RJ to do more. And on the layups, it seems like he's just trying to make contact, and then when he doesn't get the foul call, he just doesn't know what to do. So if he cuts back on that, I really think his field goal percentage will see a nice little bump. But I did hear some troubling news. He's going to cut his hair today. So I do not like that. I want him to go full album mode on us.
Yeah, where are you finding that report?
Bagley tweeted it out that he's going to get his hair cut. He is keeping the headband though, but I wanted like the Afro headband.
Yeah, combo. I would have liked that.
Yeah, he needs to bring back the Duke haircut.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It could be like a short little like Ben Wallace almost, Yeah. Well, it's a bummer. RJ's hair will be missed, but his performance, as long as it keeps on continuing, will only bring happiness into our lives. Anything else on RJ, or are we good to move on here?
Just to build on, I mean, what he said today was really good, where people asked if his confidence dipped, because as Kyle said, he had a really decent sized frozen patch towards the end of December, and then I think it kind of peaked or bottomed out in Phoenix, and he said, no, my confidence has stayed the same. And I feel like that mentality is so underrated. I know it sounds like cheesy to say, oh, he has the mindset to be a star player, but I believe that. And last night, for example, they're getting the shit kicked out of him, and he played 32 minutes, and for all 32 minutes, you couldn't tell the score. You couldn't tell it was a blowout. You would think it was a tie game in the fourth. I think you need people like that, and I think it's underrated how much of a locker room presence he can become.
One of the other guys who is really performing out there right now as well over the last couple of games, and even I think a little bit longer than we totally give him credit for, is Julius Randle. He had a bad stretch in the middle here, but really since just before Christmas, he's been having some nice games, getting himself into the offense, scoring. His rebounding has been up significantly too. Against Milwaukee, I'm pretty sure he had 11 rebounds before the end of the first half. So, the last two games, especially since he's returned to the lineup since the death of his grandmother, he's been playing really well. He scored 26 against Miami, 25 against Milwaukee, 15 rebounds in his most recent game, and really like kind of efficient stat lines. Shooting just over 20 shots, but making about half of them. I just think that his shot has looked a little bit better recently. Or at least at the very least last night, and he's just kind of finding a little bit more of a flow in the offense. Do you guys think that has anything to do with Marcus Morris being out, or is it just Randle finally starting to come along?
No, I think it was just floor placement. Like we covered a little bit last week, Fizdale had Randle in the paint for the most part, and when he wasn't in the paint, he was asking him to be a point forward. And that's just not Randle's game. Randle's a rim runner, and he could shoot potentially. That's not where you want him to live. But you could see Miller's had him out in the arc, and it's paid dividends. He's either taking the ball and driving to the rim like a bowling ball, or he's spotting up and he's shooting pretty good. Last night he shot 3 of 6 from 3. That's all you really need. And he shot 50% from the field overall. And for long stretches of that game, he was the only source of offense for the Knicks. And the Bucks are pretty good, so for him to bowl to the rim and shoot efficiently, that's something to me. So whether it's with this team or the next team, I think that's where he should stay, at the arc or driving to the rim like a bowling ball.
Bro, David Fizdale almost made us hate Julius Randle. Think about that.
He sucks. Miller kind of pissed me off too.
Miller pisses me off too, but like David Fizdale almost made me hate Julius Randle. Like, really think about that. I was so excited about that signing. And David Fizdale made me hate it in like 15 games. Like, Randall's been good under Miller, man. Like, if nothing else, and it probably does have a little bit to do with Mook being out. It probably gives him a little bit more freedom with the spacing, because normally they do spend some time on the floor together. But I just think it's also where he's kind of attacking from. With Fizdale, he was coming, right at the top of the key a lot of times, initiating the offense and trying to be the decision maker, the playmaker. And Miller kind of has him spaced out a lot more because the pick and roll frequencies increase so much. So he kind of keeps him off on the wing or sometimes towards the corner. And when Randle does attack, normally they go to close out on him because he's a respectable 3-point shooter as a stretch four like that. And then he's able to just blow by them because he can put the ball on the floor. And he's been doing that more under Mike Miller. So it's more like just getting him a better angle to the rim, because he can bully his way in. But when you're forcing him, like David Fizdale was, to go through 2-3 guys or kind of run through his own screens that are getting set for him, it's not conducive for good basketball for a guy like him. So Miller's kind of cleaned up where he's attacking from, and it's helped largely. So that's what I'm enjoying the most. It looks like the Julius Randle that I expected. So it's hard to be disappointed with him now, with the way he's been playing over the last 20 some odd games.
Yeah, and I've noticed a really nice connection between him and RJ. You saw it a couple of times in Milwaukee last night, but there was just a couple of times where I think it was 2 straight plays where RJ saved the ball from going out of bounds, and then was able to dish it to a charging Randle into the paint. And it was just fast, well executed. You could tell those guys are starting to develop a little bit of chemistry together. And that's really crucial for the future of this franchise, that they share the court well together and don't get in each other's way, but are able to assist each other.
Yeah, and for the sample size, Randle's scoring 21.5 points per game, 10.2 rebounds, 3 assists, shooting 33.7% from deep and 45.9% from the field overall. That's a decent sample size. And under Fizdale, he was averaging 16.8, 44.2 from the field, 24.1 from 3. This is legit.
Yeah, it's very, very, it stands out.
Yeah, I just think Fizdale got drunk off what he did with Noah Vonleh, which wasn't even that impressive when you really look back on it. It was just like, oh, Vonleh could dribble. That's cool. And I feel like he took that and felt like, oh, I could turn Julius Randle into Giannis, and that's clearly never going to happen.
Yep. Well, we do have another player who's going to be joining into the big man mix pretty soon. But before I tell you about him, I need to tell all of you about our sponsor today, Untuck It. You ever see an untucked button-down shirt? They look pretty bad because they weren't meant to be worn that way. And thankfully, there's Untuck It, the original button-down shirt originally worn, actually designed to be worn untucked. No matter your size or shape, Untuck It shirts always fall at the perfect untucked length. There's more than 50 combinations that you can choose from at Untuck It, and it's whether you are someone who's tall, someone who's shorter, a little bit more of a slim fit, maybe athletic. Untuck It's designed to fit your frame and made to be wrinkle free. There's super soft flannels, there's outerwear, there's a ton. There's not just shirts that you got to choose from. And they're designed so regardless of what kind of body you have, it's never going to look baggy or bulgy or too long or anything like that. They have an easy to use website where they have an entire page devoted to helping you find your fit, because no matter who you are, it's super easy to get clothes that you love and then they all of a sudden don't fit and you never wear them. So whether you're shopping for the perfect gift or you're just trying to craft a smart, relaxed style of your own, Untuck It is the way to go. Visit untuckit.com and use code BLUE for 20% off at checkout. That's UNTUCKIT.com and promo code BLUE for 20% off. So one of the, I would say, most called for moves of the last week, probably the most hyped up move of the last week, was the Knicks extending a two-way contract offer to Kenny Wooten, who was playing in the Westchester Knicks in the Knicks G League system. He played 23 games for them. He averaged 7.8 points, 5.9 rebounds, and the reason why he's here, 3.3 blocks per game. He is a little bit, he's not quite center size necessarily. He's 6'8", 235. He, I think he's been playing mostly at the power forward, projects to be more of a 4. And I think he's a very interesting fit with the roster right now if he's able to get onto the court and get some playing time. But, there was a lot of concern that maybe some other team would be able to sign him away. But the Knicks hopped on it. They gave him a two-way contract. They waived Ivan Rabb, and he's, he's going to be able to play a few games with the Knicks. I guess, Kyle, let's start with you. Where do you think Kenny Wooten fits in the Knicks rotation right now? Do you think he's going to be able to get any minutes, at least getting going here? Do you think he's going to be who do you think he'll play well next to? Are you hyped about this? What's going on?
Definitely hyped about it. We should always be excited about people that play defense. We haven't really had much of that. The last time they had a top 10 defense was with Tyson Chandler in 2013. And before that, does anyone want to guess? Because it was probably late 90s.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Legitimately, yeah.
Yeah. So, it's always exciting when you got a defensive prospect. That's why we give Frank such a pass often, because, good defense generally keeps you on the floor if your shot isn't falling. Sometimes you just need good defenders. So some of the blocks Kenny's had has been ridiculous. Obviously, he spiked some of them, but the most impressive one is the one that circulated everywhere, including on SportsCenter. So good job, Kenny, if you're listening. He just went up and snatched it. It was an NBA street block. It was fantastic. Everybody that's listening to this podcast knows exactly which block it was. We all saw it. It was beautiful. He just jumped right up, two hands, straight up, doesn't even really contest the defender at all. Just almost knows exactly where the ball is going to go. Just goes straight up, grabs it. That's
I've never seen it was the most, something like that. It was almost like, you ever see when a bug flies into a spider web and it just launches out and grabs it? It's exactly what it looked like to me.
Knew exactly where the ball was going.
Just reaches up there and gets it.
It was amazing. So yeah, I'm excited. I don't know where he's going to play. I'm going to imagine if Mook keeps missing time, they're going to find at least 10 or 15 minutes a game, at least in the early going, to try to get him some run, because if not, then what was the point? So you got to see what you got. So I'm excited. I don't know. I kind of hope he doesn't play a ton of 4, just because we've had enough spacing issues this year, and I'd prefer that we keep it simple. Maybe just play him at the 5 behind Mitch. Ideally, Mitch would be starting in my world, but it is what it is. That's kind of what I see. I just don't want to see him predominantly at the 4. I fear that might happen, but
well, Mike, you are beginning to work on this piece here. So do you have any insight on whether or not Wooten would be able to be successful at the 4 spot, or you think he projects to be a center?
If he plays the 4, put cement shoes on Mike Miller's feet and drop him into the East River. Wooten cannot shoot. He hasn't even attempted a 3-point shot. He is strictly a rim protector and a lob catcher, but that's the ideal guy you want behind Mitch. Now you have a center rotation where both guys play the same, so it's kind of interchangeable. And the only scenario you could see him at the 4 is late game, literally late game, what I mean, less than 3 seconds and they need to stop late. That's the only time he should be playing alongside Mitch. The rest of the time, he should just be alternating. If Mitch gets in foul trouble, Wooten comes in. If Mitch just needs a break, Wooten comes in. That's the only thing that he should be used for. But yeah, it's exciting. And on the blocks, he said he's going to start using that NBA street block a lot more. He said spiking it was kind of useless, so he thinks getting the rebound and the block at the same time is better for the team, and it's certainly better for us
fucking
as
incredible.
Content-wise. Yeah, no, he's
just having the option to do that as a human being is an incredible thing.
Imagine you could jump that high.
Confident.
Like, just imagine I would just like jump on top of my refrigerator for no reason. You know what I mean?
It looks like he's playing slam ball. Like, it's crazy. He just hangs up there. But yeah, I mean, he's a sneaky confident guy too. So I kind of like that whole mix of RJ, Frank's looking a little confident. So I kind of like Wooten fitting into that young group more so than a couple of the other young guys I won't name.
And did he get called up to the team yet, or is he still with Westchester?
He's practicing. They don't expect him to play tomorrow, but if Morris continues to miss time, or hopefully Portis gets traded, every time I see Portis now, I just
waiting for the day.
It's just in my head. Yeah, it's just like, you're taking Wooten's minutes, you son of a bitch.
It's fair. It's absolutely fair. I mean, like, it would just clean up so much air. Like, I don't know, I could, stay or leave with Taj Gibson, but I mean, Portis is just, you see it when he's not out there or when he's missing time. Like, God, he just eats up so many minutes. He just takes so many opportunities out from guys that I'm just like, still, like, we should have so much better of an idea of how some of these prospects that we have been developing this season. But we just have Bobby Portis in there, hitting the occasional 3-pointer and giving up a tremendous amount of points at the rim.
If Portis stays, I would put my life savings on him having one of those games like he had against the Bulls, being the sole reason we don't get what prospect, Yeah. He's going to be the what is it? Indoor? Forgot his
Maurice
name.
Indoor, yeah.
Yeah, he's going to be the indoor of this season if he stays. Hopefully he doesn't.
Yeah, it's just, he has one of those games like every now and then he just has that, and it's always against like the Bulls or like, he's, I remember him like, when I saw him play in Chicago, just like every now and then he'd have a random fucking 30-point game. And it would like buy him value for, 3 months time before he has to refuel and have another 30-point game. It's unbelievable with that guy.
Yeah, I forgot who. I think it was Brian that said he was this year's Moutier, and that's so spot on. It's scary.
How is Moutier doing these days?
He did good against the Knicks, of course. I think last time we recorded, he was torching us. I was like, that's just so on brand.
I do specifically remember seeing Frank get blocked by Moutier at one point. Or it might have been Trier. So, yeah. Anyway, so the trade deadline is approaching with, like we're talking about here, we want Portis to be out of here as fast as possible. Guys like Taj Gibson, Marcus Morris, other guys that were signed this year to the shorter or non-guaranteed next year contracts could be on the move. A few other players as well. Where do things stand on Marcus Morris right now? Every report that we hear coming out is that the Knicks don't want to move him. They want to hold on to him. They feel like they can re-sign him. They feel all these kinds of ways about Marcus Morris, who is an absolutely unrestricted free agent at the end of this season. What are we doing here with Morris? As we get a little bit closer, I thought the reporting would change. We talked about this a little bit last week, but it seems to be about the same thing. Status quo with Marcus Morris. The Knicks are planning on keeping him.
I'd love to know, because I don't understand the argument for keeping him whatsoever. If you want him back, he could come back. People think that trading him, he's like going to get pissed off and not consider the Knicks. And if that's the case, why are you so hung up on keeping Marcus Morris? That's a little weird.
Yeah, I just feel the same about it. I just think even if, you want to bring him back, just given the situation, you can't extend him. You know what I mean? Whatever contract you're going to give him is going to be the same one you could offer him in July. Whether you keep him or not, it doesn't make any difference. So to me, I just think you got to just do what's best for the franchise and just kind of communicate like, hey, man, it's already February. Season ends in 2 months. We're going to move you, but we definitely want you back. We'll pay you. Like, we'll talk. We want you here in the long run. And if he really wants to be here, then he'll be here. That's how it goes. We do this every year where we think we got to keep that guy for leadership or whatever else, and then we never move them, and then they walk. Like, we've seen this. Just do what's best for the franchise, and we are all gigantic Marcus Morris fans. It is lovely to have a guy who is that competent, scoring, rebounding, defensively. Just a solid veteran presence. The young guys love him. A tough dude. He's shooting almost 50% from three. He's up to 47% right now. It's ridiculous. He's a great player. I love having it. But when do we make a value signing like that goes right? You know what I mean? Well, when do we get the 1-year bargain deal that's an expiring asset that's a piece that any contender could use, and he's having a career year playing lights out, doing the most important thing in basketball, shooting threes, being a 3-and-D guy like that. I mean, it's impressive. Someone's going to want him. A lot of teams are going to want him, and a lot of teams are going to pay, and they're going to pay well.
Right.
The Knicks have to do his best for them. They do. He's too valuable at this point not to. He's having a career year. He's simply too valuable.
And if you want to keep him happy, and work with him, see what team he wants to go to. You're telling me if we send him to Philly, where he's from,
he can have his pick of the litter. I
say, which team do you want?
Team.
What team do you want? We're not going to send you to some shithole team. It's going to be a playoff team. Do you want to go to Philly? All right, we'll sign off on the deal. How hard is that?
There's ways to accommodate them, and this has happened in sports before, where guys have been traded and they come right back to that same team. It has happened. The Yankees did it even with Severino. Chapman.
Yeah.
Sorry. They did that same thing. They traded him. He went to the Cubs. He won a ring, and he said, "Cool, I'm just going to go back to the Yankees now. I really liked it over there." Like, this does happen in sports. That's one example, but it has happened a number of times. Like, they got to do it, and it's not going to be like I'm going to be that furious, because at the end of the day, we all like Marcus Morris, and that's fine that we get to root for him a little bit longer. But it's bad asset management. It really is.
It's malpractice by the front office. It would just prove they don't know what they're doing. It's just continuous cover-ups. You signed him in the summer with the intent, if it doesn't work out, we will trade them for assets. It hasn't worked out at all. The team has 11 wins halfway through the season. Trade him.
Yeah, and I mean, at this point too, where does Marcus Morris fit into this timeline here? I mean, I agree. I agree with everything you guys are saying. Like, he's playing he's having the best season of his career right now. He's playing tremendously, but it's not like it's not like he's going to be able to put up these numbers on, a playoff caliber or championship team. He's going to be more of a role player. It's going to be more of a piece in there. And it's like, for the Knicks to be prioritizing picking up a player like that right now where they're at is just kind of delusional. It's like, you don't need Marcus Morris until you have a much clearer foundation in place, until your players have developed a little bit, and when you need to take that next step forward, whether that's to get into the playoffs or to get deeper into the playoffs or whatever, like, that's when you want to go after Marcus Morris. Like, signing him to a long-term deal to build your roster around him and Julius Randle and the best of what potential RJ Barrett, Kevin Knox, and Frank Ntilikina have, and Dennis Smith, that's not proper team building. It's just delusional.
Agree 100%. It's just a continuous evidence that they don't know what they're doing if they keep him.
Yep. Well, while we have Marcus Morris for a few more games here, I suppose we can take a look at what the schedule is looking like coming up. So the Knicks, by the time everyone's hearing this, it'll be tonight. The Knicks are going to be playing against the Phoenix Suns, and what promises to be a potentially winnable game that the Knicks will most likely lose. After that, we play the 76ers on Saturday, and then they have the Cleveland Cavaliers on the following Monday. Rematch with the Lakers the next Wednesday. We'll see whether we talk to you all before or after that game. But anything to note over the next couple of days? I mean, we're talking about the Sixers now. If Morris gets a taste of what that team is like and plays decently against him, that conversation might get really interesting very quickly. the Cavaliers too. The Knicks have had some struggles against the Cavaliers also, which is not surprising. But are there anybody on the Cavs you think the Knicks could potentially be targeting while they're selling some players off or trying to rearrange their franchise a bit?
Not that we can get. In terms of players I'm excited to see, Darius Garland.
Yeah.
Apparently he's been playing pretty well, so I'm excited to see him. I think that I think out of those next 4, 2 of those games are winnable. I even think the Sixers are winnable. They were in every Sixers game has been a winnable one. So I think if they play well, they could win a couple games.
They weirdly match up well with the Sixers, just because
I'm not crazy.
I actually brought this up to some. I forgot who I was talking to, but somebody else, and they're both trying to do the same thing, except the Sixers actually have the talent to do it. Is the way I look at it. Like, they have their wings, kind of scoring playmaker in Ben Simmons, and RJ kind of hopes to be like a wing playmaker one day. Then they have their center down there. They have their bruising forward. The point. Where they get points at a Tobias Harris down there in the post. And I just think like they try to play bully ball and they're much more effective at it. They have Horford. And then we also try to do the same thing and we're significantly less effective at it. But the fact that we're both trying to do the same thing, nobody tries to play that way anymore. So it becomes like old school ball a little bit. That's kind of how I viewed.
Which makes sense when you're a playoff team and potential championship contender. It doesn't make as much sense to play that way when you're, 11 and 30.
For sure. But with Julius Randle now finally looking like the near star caliber player that everybody hoped and assumed he could be, now that he is a competent head coach, with RJ playing out of his mind these last 6 games in terms of his scoring and efficiency and especially his jump shooting, I like our chances.
Sure.
This is probably the only stretch, only couple of games where I'd be confident, but I just think, all right, they got Reggie Bullock now. A couple guys are starting to play right together at the right time. Mitch has kind of been playing down lately. Like, he's due for a couple of good games. Like, it just kind of feels like they're going to reel off a couple here for no apparent reason, before they go on another little losing stretch. It just feels like they're due for a little blip here.
Yeah, maybe it'll just be like the last little stretch for this group of players together. Get a couple of wins together, it's guys showcasing themselves, and then maybe in the next 2 weeks or so we finally see some trades going down.
Yeah, I'm interested to see the rotations now that you mention that, because last night was a good example. They were getting blown out for most of that game, and until the fourth quarter, Knox played 6 minutes, and he looked good in those 6 minutes, and Robinson played 11 minutes, so what the fuck? I'm assuming it's just a showcase, so I'm interested to see if guys like Elfrid Payton, who looks like he's starting to quit, Bobby Portis, if those guys are playing heavy minutes, it's showcase season officially.
Yeah, Payton is so out right now. His blow up during that Milwaukee game was just, he just looked like he could not give a shit anymore.
No, he's just shooting. It's like, what happened to table setting, what you were good at? It's just frustrating.
Yeah, I will say this too. Like, I have been extraordinarily hard on this front office lately, but if they do end up doing the showcase and they do end up getting a pretty good call for multiple guys, like if they do somehow end up selling off on Marcus Morris, and let's say they get something for Elfrid Payton and they get something for Bobby Portis, like something like that happens and they get a couple first round picks or pretty good seconds out of it, like I will cut them some slack, because
but that's just doing their job.
It's doing their job, but in terms of like, at least they signed a couple expiring assets that worked out, and now it looks like they're trying to do the showcase. Like, it makes sense that that's what they'd be doing. I don't want to like assume something intelligent's happening, but it makes sense. It's been pretty drastic, the shift, when we started seeing all the vets start to play over the young guys. So I'd like to think it's showcasing. I'd like to think they have a couple of deals or, things tentatively in place with a couple of teams. And it would just be nice to see them capitalize for once. But we will see, of course.
Real quick, since we're talking about trades, what's the farthest you guys would go to get Shea?
I'm giving a lot.
Boy, I would give up Ooh, multiple first rounders. Listen. It is. I don't care if you yell at me. Anybody wants to get mad about that. We never have a good point guard. Especially one that is that good, that efficient, a strong defender, a good playmaker, facilitator. He does anything that you would want a playmaker to do. He's big, he's strong, he's just a good smart player.
He's been playing like the 3 all season, man.
He is 20. What is he? 20 years old, Mike. I would give up almost anything, to get him. I would get, bro.
That's the question. Would you give up RJ?
No. RJ and Mitch will be the ones I fight the hardest for because you ultimately want to pair Shea with one of them. But draft picks wise, take your freaking pick.
Yeah,
man.
really.
Yeah,
I'd give them another 5. I'd give them like they got 5, plus Shea or controller 5 from the Clippers. There, they want 5 from us for him alone. There you go. You got 10 picks out of that.
Nah, I don't know, but like for me, it would be like, all right, like you could have Knox, you could have Frank, you could have whatever to make pretty much any pick of just not Mitch or RJ is what I would offer. I don't know how. This is what I would do. This is my trade. I would give you anybody except RJ or Mitch. Hopefully that's sufficient player wise for them, and then I would say you get both Dallas picks right off the top, and you have unprotected your choice of any of the next 3 years. That's 3 first round picks, and then any number of young guys that you want that are not RJ and Mitch. I would 100% do that. I don't care if anybody disagrees and wants to yell at me about it. If you give me Shea, RJ, and Mitch and nothing and just a bare, like we can build around them, I would be over the moon. That is, wow, that would be fantastic.
They said OKC's open for business, so I don't. I mean, I'm assuming a smart team is saying Shai's off the table, but like Corbo said, if you could bring 5 picks, shit,
yeah,
that's gonna be hard to turn down.
Sometimes you just got to get your man. Sometimes you just got to go get your man.
Any pick with the Knicks feels heightened because they know they're gonna suck or fuck up somehow.
Yeah, that's true.
So like the placebo effect could like say, oh, these are gonna be 5 top 10 picks, no doubt.
I would include Mitch in the deal.
Would you?
I would. I think I would. I think that Shai is just so proven at this point, and like there's still so many questions about every other player on the roster that like I want a sure thing to get going with, and I know that Mitch has shown significant flashes and he's just being a really unique player in himself, but I think if that's what it takes, plus a couple of probably not as heavy of a draft haul in that case, but that's what it takes in a couple of picks, I would do it.
Yeah, I say that, and then I also think Town. I don't know. I feel like they should definitely search for a Godfather type offer for Shea or Towns. I think it's time.
Yeah. Well, I'd say that's a healthy note to leave things off on. Everybody go give us a follow at the Knicks Wall, at TKW Podcast, at Corbo Anthony, at Kyle Maggio, at Cortez Era. Go follow at Blue Wire Pods. Go subscribe to this podcast. Subscribe to 300 Seconds from Whistle and Kyle Maggio here. Check out all the pieces that we have up on the site right now. We had, like I mentioned before, there was a piece from Harley on Headband Headband Ro making his appearance. Who had the it was Quentin who had the
you had something on Reggie Bullock.
Yep.
Dylan Quentin had something on Mitchell Robinson, I want to say.
Yeah. So a lot of good pieces up there right now. Go check out all that stuff. Make sure head to the merch store too, designtree.com/the Knicks Wall. Remember, all of those proceeds are going down to assist Puerto Rico right now. So now is the best time to purchase. I will have a GoFundMe link as well in the episode description that Mike has set up. So eventful couple of days coming up. Hopefully we get some kind of a performance out of. I really think the Sixers game is going to be indicative of what this roster ends up being shaped like throughout the rest of the season. But I guess we'll be able to see about that next week, and we will talk to you all then.